Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Friday afternoon. Some more massive news for the Texas A&M fans coming out of the recruiting trail. Four-star defensive lineman Trashawn Ruffin committing to Texas A&M in the 2026 class. Now that's two four-star commitments in the last 24 hours for Texas A&M in the 2026 cycle. Y'all know how much I love Hellman Kasuga, who committed yesterday. Trashawn Ruffin, this kid's a Mike Elko kind of commitment. I don't think there's a ton of flash to his game, but I think there's a lot of substance. And I think if you're a Texas A&M fan, what you're kind of hoping you get out of Trashawn Ruffin is kind of what you got from McKinley Jackson over the last couple of years, where you look at McKinley Jackson and say, he wasn't a player that was garnering a ton of national media recognition. A lot of the plays that he made for that Texas A&M defense were not necessarily kind of put on the highlight reel, but the dirty work that McKinley Jackson was able to do in terms of eating up double teams, allowing other players in that front seven to have opportunities to create negative plays. I think for every Texas A&M fan that watched every single snap on the defensive side of the football over the last couple of years knows that although McKinley Jackson didn't have a massive presence on the box score, he had a massive presence for this Texas A&M defense. And I look at Ruffin and say, that's probably what you want to get from Trashawn Ruffin. I don't think this kid's going to be a 10 plus sack kind of guy a year, but I think he is really, really strong at the point of attack. I think he can do a phenomenal job playing with good leverage, eating up double teams. These kind of bodies are really, really important to playing good defense. And that's kind of why I say this is a Mike Elko kind of kid. I don't think there's a ton of flash, but I think there's a lot of substance. And I think he brings, a really important skill set to this Texas A&M defense. Want to dive into a little bit of the film, talk about what Trashawn Ruffin brings to this Texas A&M defense. Now, before we get into it, as always, to the Texas A&M fans, y'all have shown a ton of support to the boys. It's been a blast talking this program on the recruiting trail in 2024. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Ruffin. And the thing that stands out to me the most about Trashawn Ruffin, and we're going to see this as we get into the film, is one, I think he's exactly what you're looking for in a nose tackle. And you look at 6'3", 307, he's only a junior in high school, probably going to come into Texas A&M closer to that 315 mark. He's a little bit taller than a guy like McKinley Jackson, but I think the leverage and play strength that he plays with, I think is very similar to McKinley Jackson. Again, I don't think this kid is, super twitched up for a 300-pound body. He is a very good athlete that I think can do some things athletically that you like. I think what you like most is the play strength that he plays with. I mean, he is routinely resetting the line of scrimmage when he has the opportunity to disrupt double teams. He does it at a high level. You talk about what made Texas A&M's linebackers so good last year. Yeah, I mean, Edrin Cooper and Torian York, they were really good football players, but they were playing behind a defensive line that did, a really good job eating up double teams so they couldn't work up to linebackers. That's the type of player I think you get with Trashawn Ruffin. The play strength is really, really impressive. He does seem to have some really nice length in the arms, which you certainly like. And you turn on the film and say, this, I mean, for lack of better terms, like kind of a lunch pail kind of guy. One, he stands out in terms of how big he is, but I love the play strength. He's able to get out of his stance pretty well. And when he gets his hands on opposing offensive linemen, like he is winning pretty routinely. See him getting off some blocks, which you like to see too. But every single rep that you see on the film, he's resetting the line of scrimmage. I mean, you fire it up and say he's just resetting. I mean, moving guys around, getting off blocks, making plays. That's what you love most about him in terms of the presence that he has on the middle of the defensive line, stopping runs. Once again, resetting the line of scrimmage, using his hands to get off blocks. It's not always the flashiest stuff with a guy like Trashawn Ruffin, but the substance behind his game, the play strength that he brings. This is, that's kind of the prototypical why we like this kid. Firing out of his stance low, hands are on these offensive lists. This poor kid just can't deal with him physically, getting off blocks and making plays. Again, I don't think it's the flashiest commitment that you will see, but I think there's some real value to a guy like Trashawn Ruffin in this 2026 cycle. And this is how Mike Elko wants to build the program. We talked about this when Mike Elko took the job at Texas A&M. These are the type of kids he's going to fill the roster with. He's not going to go five-star hunting every time. Now, yeah, you want to bring in five-star recruits, but you also want to fill this roster with guys like this. And I think that's what Mike Elko is bringing to Texas A&M. We're seeing that mentality not only on the football field, but also on the recruiting trail. This is going to be a line of scrimmage program. And I think Mike Elko is getting the building blocks out of the high school ranks to do that. We'll close it down there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Hope you all have a phenomenal weekend. Texas A&M, Mississippi State this weekend. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.